Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Josh, and we're on part 3 of our Montana 2016 CDL permit study session. At the end of the last video, I don't know why I haven't thought of this yet, but I set the timer on my watch, so I should know when we're coming close to 30 minutes, and I'll be able to actually cut it off. Excuse me, in a reasonable way. This is why, even with you guys hanging out with me, I'm still like, this is kind of dry stuff. During the last, in all of these videos, don't forget to look in my pants or in the underbar and in the description section and find links and answers to the questions from the last video, which there was only one for the last video. Maggie prompted the question. Maggie's my girlfriend. You don't see her on screen because she's over there. Maggie prompted the question, can you take the CDL test in one of those automatics that also can do manual for the transmission? If so, what does that mean? And that's actually a really good question. If you take the test in one of those, you're still going to have the NM on your license, and it'll still only count as an automatic because there's no clutch. And I found that online, so, you know, yeah, I be very careful when you're screening. If you're looking into schools or companies that are going to help you get your CDL, ask questions. And remember, if you're working with a recruiter, their job, I have an amazing recruiter. I'm really, really lucky. She's absolutely amazing. But their job, don't be afraid of annoying them, because their job is to match you if their company is right for you, and if you're right for their company. It's a two-way interview of sorts. Because if you're looking for an apprenticeship that becomes employment, they're putting time and money into you. They would much rather have you stick than lose you before your commitment's up. And you would much rather find a company that's going to work for you. And, like, literally, you should have a list of criteria that you're looking for in your company and make sure that they can match all of that, or most of it, whatever's most important to you. So don't be afraid to ask those questions, because you really, this is a big deal. Okay, so where we left off, I was talking about out of service. Now, out of service is a big thing. When you're placed out of service, whether the DOT places you out of service or a cop does, whoever places you out of service, once you're placed out of service, your wheels don't turn. I mean, I think there's an allowance for you to go to the next exit if you're on like a highway and a cop stops you. Particularly because with you know, us drivers, us truckers, you're not allowed to have any detectable amount. If you have a CDL, you're not allowed to have any detectable amount of alcohol or drugs in your system. And there are certain drugs that you can be on, obviously, but they all have to be like prescribed to you, and you have to watch your warning labels, and there's a lot of rules about what you can and cannot put in your body when you have a CDL. And the reason for that is you are in your hands, in those steering wheel, like holding hands, you literally are controlling thousands of pounds of machinery that could kill. You could kill people. You could kill not only yourself but others. And so essentially, like, you can get placed out of service. Like, you can't just go into wherever you're having dinner and just casually have a beer and then think you're going to drive home just like you would in a normal car. You are not allowed to do that. You can't drive your truck if you have any detectable amount of... So basically, if you have over 0.04 blood alcohol content for your percentage, you're going to get your license suspended. And if you have less than that, they're going to place you out of service. And if you drive after you're placed out of service, you're going to lose your CDL for 6 months. And then after that, if you do it again, it's 1 to 3 years. So just do yourself a favor, and if you're placed out of service, no matter what your company says, they can have someone come get your load. If you're placed out of service, your wheels don't move. Okay, the next disqualification Fraudulent applications. Your CDL will be canceled and you will be unable to reapply for a CDL for 60 days if you falsified information or certification when applying for a license. Testing. You may take written and vision tests at any driver exam station. Actual road tests for Class A license will be given on an appointment basis at selected sites. This stuff's important because they actually ask questions about this on the test. Keeping your commercial driver license. Commercial motor vehicle safety. There are commercial motor vehicle safety laws that affect drivers. You cannot have more than one license. If you break this rule, a court may fine you up to $5,000 or put you in jail. Keep your Montana license and return any others to the state of issuance. In many states, like Pennsylvania and Michigan, they destroy it, but they give it back to you. Like, I have my Michigan one, but it's got a hole punched in it. I had my Pennsylvania one, but it had holes punched in it. So it's not for that, I specifically checked that I was allowed to keep them for whatever sentimentality, I guess is the right word, maybe. I'm not really sure. But I mean, basically, you just can't use it for anything other than just, oh, here's a thing that I once had. I'm going to keep it in a shoebox in my home. You must notify your employer within 30 days of a conviction for any traffic violation except parking. This is true no matter what type of vehicle you were driving. So say you have your CDL Class A and you weren't driving your truck. You parked your truck at your terminal and then you took your car and you were driving and you went, a little too fast and you got pulled over and you got a speeding ticket. You have to notify your employer within 30 days of that. So not only, once you have your CDL, not only are you really having to be careful with what you do behind the wheel of your truck, but then what you do in your personal vehicle can cost you your livelihood. So it's kind of a big deal. Your employer may not let you drive a commercial motor vehicle if you have more than one license or if your CDL is suspended or revoked. A court may fine the employer up to $5,000 or put him or her in jail for breaking this rule. You must notify the Motor Vehicle Division within 30 days if you are convicted in any other state of any traffic violation except parking. This is true no matter what type of vehicle you were driving. So not only do you now have to notify your boss, but you have to notify the Motor Vehicle Division within 30 days if you're in a different state. So you got your CDL in Montana. That's awesome. Dope. But you're from California like we are. So in your off time, you go back to California and maybe you're driving your personal car and you go a little too fast or you fail to yield the right-of-way at a light to oncoming traffic and you get a ticket. You not only have to report that to your boss, but you have to report that to the Motor Vehicle Division within 30 days. Not only is that embarrassing, but it could cost you your employment and your CDL, depending on the type of offense. You must notify your employer if your license is suspended, revoked, canceled, or if you are disqualified from driving. You must give your employer information on all driving jobs you have held for the past 10 years. You must do this when you apply for a commercial driving job. Since April 1st, 1992, no one can drive a commercial motor vehicle without a CDL. See, earlier they said something about 88 and 86, so I guess I'm confused. But maybe this is, that's weird. It's very weird. All states are connected to one computerized system designated for the purpose of sharing information about CDL drivers. Montana will check your driver record in other jurisdictions to see if you are licensed in another state, suspended, revoked, or have had accidents. A person whose commercial driver license is suspended under this section is not eligible for a restricted commercial probationary license and may not operate a commercial motor vehicle until the suspension is lifted and the person's commercial driver license is restored. Any suspension revocation or cancellation of your commercial driver license due to violations occurred in a non-commercial vehicle will affect your ability to operate a commercial motor vehicle. You will, okay, now this is important because these are questions that they ask on the test or could potentially ask on the test. I gotta stop for a second and get a drink. I'm just going way too fast and like, whew. Had to wet my whistle. Wet my beak a little bit, as it were. Okay. Now this is important. You will lose your CDL for at least 1 year for a first-time major offense. So that makes us think, like, what's a major offense? We're going to get to that. But first, if a person who holds a commercial driver license or who is required to have a commercial driver license is convicted of a major offense in a commercial motor vehicle or non-commercial vehicle, that person's commercial driver license shall be suspended. For your first offense, you're looking at 1 year suspension. If you're transporting placardable hazardous materials, your first offense is going to get you 3 year suspension. Anything after that, your second or subsequent offenses, life. See, that's confusing. If you get life suspension for a second offense, why would there be any after that? There wouldn't be. For your second offense, you're going to lose your CDL for life. It's not even 3 strikes, you're out. It's 2 strikes, and you're donezo. So let's just not. In order to not, let's talk about what major offenses are. The term major offense includes refusing to take a test under an implied consent law in Montana or any other jurisdiction. Now, in Montana, I don't know about any other state, really, because this never really applied to me. But in Montana, if you're driving on the road, then you have given implied consent to be drug tested or to have your blood alcohol content tested at any time. And if you refuse, you're going to get your license suspended for a year anyway. So you might as well just let them test you. And don't be drunk or high when you're driving. And if you're driving with a CDL, don't have any alcohol in your system. Driving or being in actual physical control of a motor vehicle while under the influence of alcohol, a drug, or a combination of the two. So either way, you're gonna get your license suspended for a year if you've had any alcohol or any drugs. Driving or being in actual physical control of a non-commercial vehicle and having an alcohol concentration of 0.08% or more, or a commercial motor vehicle and having an alcohol concentration of 0.04 or more. Now, here's the deal. Actually, this is where I was slightly incorrect. Well, kind of, but I said this right earlier and I just said it wrong now. If you have less than 0.04, but any detectable amount, they are going to put you out of service. And then if you continue to drive...
For 24 hours.
Yeah, is it 24 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have anything less than 0.04% blood alcohol content, you are going to be put out of service for 24 hours. But they're not going to... I don't think at that point they fine you. But you are going to have to let your boss know why you're out of service. So you might lose your job. So maybe just don't drink when you're trying to, when you're driving your truck at all. If you have more than 0.04, that's where we're basically you're going to lose your CDL for a year. For a normal car, it would be 0.08%. But for a CDL, because it's such a big vehicle and so dangerous, it's 0.04%. If you leave the scene of an accident involving death or personal injury or failing to give information and render aid. So if there's an accident, whether there's death or not, do the right thing and just stay there. Don't go anywhere because you're going to be in trouble if you do.
You're You're going to be in trouble either way.
But still, it looks better if you stay and help.
No, I know. I'm just saying. You'll be in trouble either way, so you might as well stay.
You might as well stay and do the right thing, so at least you can tell whatever judge you're talking to, hey, I tried to stay and help. Like, I did everything I could. I rendered aid. Because then, not only did you do the right thing so you can sleep at night, but you have a little bit of a stronger case if you have to go to court. In case you need another reason to do the right thing. Just saying. Using a motor vehicle in the commission of a felony. However, a conviction for a felony involving a controlled substance and a commercial motor vehicle mandates suspension for life for a first conviction. A controlled substance? That's usually, we're talking drugs. Don't let anyone put drugs in your truck and have you drive it places, unless it's like for a pharmaceutical company and you're like, okay, this is what I'm, like, this is legit. Anything else, it's just, you're done. You get one shot and then you're done. Don't be a dummy. Don't be that guy, as I think my instructor is going to be saying to me when I'm in school. Operating a commercial motor vehicle while the person's commercial driver license is revoked, suspended, canceled, or the person is disqualified from operating a commercial motor vehicle. Don't drive when you're suspended with your license. That's pretty easy. Don't do that. Causing a fatality through negligent or criminal operation of a commercial motor vehicle. Yeah, if you kill someone, whether it's innocent or not, you're going to lose your license for a year. And you'll be lucky if that's all you lose. So, yeah, this job is serious. It requires a serious commitment to quality and a serious focus so that you don't hurt yourself or anyone else. So when you go into school, you're not a little boy or a little girl. We're grown folk, and they're putting us in charge of thousands of pounds of equipment, so let's take it seriously. Let's know that people's lives are literally in our hands, and it's a huge honor to be able to have a CDL, and it's a huge responsibility. So treat it as such, and I think we're all going to be okay. It sounds like I'm talking I just take it seriously because, like, the thought of harming even an animal because of my actions drives me crazy. I can't imagine how I would feel if I hurt a person because I wasn't watching what I was doing or wasn't careful. If I make an honest mistake, I still don't know that I could forgive myself for, like, killing a person. I don't know that I would ever sleep at night again. So to me, I guess it's maybe my age talking that I'm, like, so serious about it, but, like, it's a big deal. Okay, so it goes on to say you will lose your CDL for life for a second or subsequent offense. I don't know why it says or subsequent, because if you lose your CDL for life at a second offense, why would there be any further? I don't get that. You will also lose your CDL for life if you use a commercial motor vehicle to commit a felony involving controlled substances. They already said this. If your blood alcohol concentration is less than 0.04%, but you have any detectable amount, you will be put out of service for 24 hours. Maggie knew that.
I read the book.
Serious traffic violations means conviction when operating a CMV. 2 serious traffic violations within a 3-year period involving a commercial motor vehicle equals a 60-day suspension. So that's just 2 serious violations within 3 years. And don't worry, we're going to go over what serious violations are. We've got the time. We've got like 10 minutes left. 3 serious traffic violations within a 3-year period equal 120-day suspension. So within 3 years, you had 2 serious convictions. They suspend your CDL for 60 days, and then you have to reinstate it. You do it again within that same 3-year period, making it 3 serious traffic violations, and you're suspended for 120 days. So, what are serious traffic violations? The first is excessive speeding involving any single offense for any speed of 15 miles per hour or more above the posted speed limit. Now, the crazy thing is, most companies that I know of give fuel incentives. So, even if you're, like, it does not make sense for you to be going over the speed limit at all, really. Because you're going to lose your fuel bonus, and also, you could kill someone. So don't be that guy.
I was going to say, if this happens on your off time, though, like just driving a regular vehicle,
yeah.
does count.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
yeah.
why.
Yeah, but I mean, like, oh, that's true. So if you're in your regular car and you're driving 15 miles over the speed limit, you're still basically a knucklehead, but, like, you could lose your CDL. And or your employment. Probably both. Reckless driving as defined by state or local law or regulation, including but not limited to offenses of driving a commercial motor vehicle with a willful or wanton disregard for the safety of persons or property. Basically, pugging. Don't be pugging when you're behind the wheel. Save that for the party house, okay? Improper or erratic traffic lane changes. Following the vehicle ahead too closely. A violation of state or local law relating to motor vehicle traffic control.
That's on the test.
Other than a parking violation arising in connection with a fatal accident. Serious traffic violations also exclude vehicle weight and equipment violations. So, yeah. Basically, yeah. Well, that actually, I feel like we're going to go over some of the other questions on those tests, but I feel like if you're involved in a fatal accident, you get suspended for a certain amount of time anyway. But I'm not positive about that. A violation of state or local law relating to motor vehicle traffic control other than a parking violation arising in connection with a fatal accident. Serious traffic violations also exclude vehicle weight and equipment violations. Operating a commercial motor vehicle without a CDL. Driving a commercial motor vehicle without a CDL in the driver's possession. Any individual who provides proof to the enforcement authority that issued the citation by the date the individual must appear in court or pay any fine for such a violation that the individual held a valid CDL on the date that the citation was issued shall not be guilty of this offense. Basically have your CDL on you, but if for some crazy reason you don't, get your CDL proof before you're due in court or before the fine is due.
Wouldn't that be some shit, like, you leave your wallet at home or something and that's the day you get pulled over?
You're not allowed to drive without your, like, identification and stuff, even in a normal car. That's illegal. Refusing to display a CDL upon request. Well, who's gonna do that? That's just dumb. No, I don't. No, officer, I'd rather get suspended. What?
If it's expired, you might not want to show it to them.
True, but if it's expired, you have to go, like, you're supposed to renew it before it expires, so you don't have to, like, take extra tests.
You're going to get in trouble anyway.
Exactly. So you might as well just show them the damn card. Driving a commercial motor vehicle without the proper vehicle class of CDL and or endorsements for the specific vehicle class being operated for or for the passengers of type of cargo being transported. So basically driving something that you don't have the permission to drive or whatever. Okay. Now this is important. This is potentially on the test. Railroad. There's a train going by and we're talking about railroad. Railroad grade crossing violations. 60 days for a first conviction of violating this. 120 days upon a second conviction within a 3-year period. 1 year upon a third or subsequent violation within a 3-year period.
The fact that they wrote this means someone did it.
Means someone did
it.
it. Do you know how many trucks are hit by trains every year? There was just one in Connecticut.
Really?
Yeah. And the guy was like complaining that the train hit him. Fool, you are lucky to be alive if you don't stop and you go onto a train track and they hit you and you survived and you got the nerve to have an attitude. Don't sass me. I don't want to hear that.
Don't they have the barrier things?
They do, but they're just little, like, whatever.
So
and in some,
just went through them and then got mad because the train hit him?
I think he got stuck between them because he was being a dummy. Okay.
In a commercial vehicle?
Yeah.
But that's really big. How would you get stuck between it?
I think he was bobtailing.
Oh.
For drivers who are not required to always stop.
And he's alive? Shit.
I wouldn't be sassing anyone. I'd be like, I'm alive. I'm so grateful. Failing to slow down and check that the tracks are clear of an approaching train. This is for those that are not required to stop. If you're doing CDL Class A, you need to stop at railroad tracks. It's just part of the rules. So this shouldn't apply to you, but for anyone that it does, we'll read them. For drivers who are not required to always stop. Failing to slow down and check that the tracks are clear of an approaching train. Failing to stop before reaching the crossing if the tracks are not clear. For drivers who are always required to stop. Failing to stop.
I don't think trucks are required to stop always. It's like buses, how even if the things aren't down.
School buses are.
School buses always have to stop.
Oh,
but
maybe
I don't
CDL.
think a semi-truck you have to stop.
You know what? I'll tell you what. My ass is going to be always stopping because I'm not stupid. I ain't getting hit by a train. It takes 14 seconds for you to cross a single track with a semi. And that's like 53 feet, like, yeah, 53-foot truck. It takes you about 14 seconds to cross the track. If it's double tracks, it's more than 15 seconds. A lot can happen in 15 seconds. I'm stopping, I'm looking, I'm listening, I'm doing all of the things. I'm doing the hokey pokey, and then I'm crossing once it's safe. That's just me.
What you're saying is the vehicles that are required to stop at all railroad crossings are buses.
It doesn't say that, though. It just says for drivers who are not required to always stop.
Right, you're not required to always stop. Buses
So,
are required to always stop.
Right. But I read them anyway, so it's fine. For drivers who are always required to stop, failing to stop before driving onto the crossing. For all drivers. Failing to have sufficient space to drive completely through the crossing without stopping. This is like us buttheads that go halfway through an intersection and don't have enough space to go all the way through, so we're stuck in the middle of the intersection and everybody's flipping us off and getting mad. Don't do this with a railroad track because you could die, and at the very least, you could have your CDL suspended for 60 days and 120 days upon your second and a year upon your third. So just don't do that. For all drivers, get over the tracks. Don't stop with any part of your truck on the tracks. Failing to obey a traffic control device or the directions of an enforcement official at the crossing. If the lights are red, stop. If there's a person that says stop, stop. That's basically what this is saying. Failing to negotiate a crossing because of insufficient undercarriage clearance. You're going to get stuck, and they're going to have to come and move you, and you're probably going to die. So just don't do that. And that puts us at the end of our time for this portion of the video. We didn't have any questions. I'm surprised. Maggie's not doing her job. Just kidding. She gave me a look. So this completes video number 3. Don't forget to check underneath in the links to the Wil-Trans Ruby training video for the test page that I'm going to link you to, and to the actual online Montana CDL booklet for 2016. Although it may say the end of 2015, but that's okay. At any rate, we will see you for part 4, right? Yeah, for part 4 very shortly, possibly even tonight, but who can never be sure.